Hey guys, it's the Comics Kid 2099, and I haven't been making a whole lot of videos recently. Now that the holiday season is pretty much winding down to a close, I'm hopefully going to be making some more videos for you guys. I know I haven't done any reviews of any of the 3 cartoons that I've been reviewing episodes from. That would be Metabots, Batman the Animated Series, and Young Justice. I haven't watched any of those in over a month. You may have heard me say this in one of my earlier videos, but I actually got sick for about a week, and that kind of slowed me down. And then after Christmas, I've been doing a whole lot of reading, and you'll be seeing some of the stuff that I've been reading since Christmas. Now, as the title of this video suggests, I am going to show you guys what I got for Christmas. And if you want, you can make video responses. You can make in the comments, say I got all of this for Christmas. You can say, oh, I like that, and oh, that's terrible. You know, you can just do whatever you want. And so now, here we are. I am going to show you everything that I got. The first thing I'm going to show you is this calendar. It's The Dark Knight Rises, and all of these months are actually 2012. In a couple of days, I will be changing it to January. We can go ahead and look and see what that month is. It's just Batman. I've looked at a couple of these. I know there are different characters from the movie are on each month, and I didn't ask for this. This was one of the things I did not ask for, and in a way, I think I like the things that I didn't ask for and wasn't expecting at all. I like those a whole lot more because they're more of a surprise. And so this will be really great because I didn't actually have a real calendar for 2012. I just had printed off some papers with them, you know, what day of the week each date would fall on, and that ended up being more trouble than just going out and getting a calendar, so I'm glad I have one here. One of the other things that I did not ask for that I wound up getting was this shirt. You can't really tell it's a shirt, but this is 2 dinosaurs, and one of them is saying, "Curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal." If you're a fan of Firefly, then you know that this is from the pilot episode. If you're not a fan of Firefly, if you've never heard of it or you've never seen it, I implore you to stop watching this video and go watch Firefly right now. You will not regret it. And if you do, well then, I'm sorry that you wasted some awesome time watching that show. And there's a logo right there. This is from my sister, I believe. This is something that she got at thinkgeek.com, which is a site that I think everyone in my family is a big fan of this show. A big fan of the site. I've never actually been on the site much, but if they have stuff like this, then you know it's a pretty awesome site. But I may even look on there sometime and see if they've got other types of Firefly memorabilia, because if they have this, then that's awesome, and I want to see what else they have. The last thing that I got that I did not ask for was actually a gift card to my local comic book shop. I did not know that my comic book shop did this, and my sister, this was the other thing she got me, she went to the comic book shop sometime and got a gift card to them from me, or for me, that I could go to them. And I used it to buy Volume 3 of these really huge Batman No Man's Land volumes. See, that's Volume 3. I had already bought Volumes 1 and 2 near the time that they came out, got both of them discounted with various sales and such, and then I bought Volume 4 earlier this month because I had put Volume 3 on my Christmas list, and when I didn't get it, but I got the gift card, I just used the gift card to go and get it. So that allowed me, I was able to start reading Batman No Man's Land, because I wanted to wait until I had the whole story before I started reading any of the books. And so now I have all 4 of these huge volumes, and I've already read the first volume, haven't read any of the others. So those were the 3 things that I got that I did not ask for. And actually there's a 4th thing, but that's kind of different, and I'll get to that. But it was the calendar, the shirt, and the gift card. So now you will see all the stuff that was on my Christmas list. This book is actually the other thing that I did not ask for. My mom, see, what I do is I just put graphic novels on my list, and then my mom will order them on Amazon. And I'm very specific on what graphic novel. So I'll put the title, I'll put volume numbers, and I'll put the creators involved. So there's very little chance that she might accidentally get another volume. And with the way some graphic novels are titled, it would be very easy to accidentally get something with a very similar title. And somebody on Amazon, I don't actually know who it was, she had bought one of these graphic novels that I did ask for, and they included this book for free. I don't even know what it's about. I know it's called The Carter Family, and it looks like it's from a very indie company, like even way indie, like more so than Image or Dark Horse. This is from a company called Abrams Comic Hearts, which I've never actually heard of that company. But this looks like a more grounded, realistic kind of story, maybe a historical fiction of some kind. I've never heard of this story before, so when I opened one of my presents and this was inside, I was kind of shocked. I didn't know what to expect, but I knew generally to expect what I had put on my list, but see, I give my list to my parents after my birthday in September, and then I don't look at the list again, so that when it comes Christmas time, I can be shocked. I can say, oh, hey, I don't remember putting this on my list. But I definitely knew that I didn't put this on my list. So I haven't actually read this yet. I don't know if it's good or not, but hey, a free book that you're not expecting is a free book. So that's that. Now, every other book here is something that I asked for. This is something that I don't actually know the premise of it at all, but that looks like Michael Allred artwork. It's actually, he is not credited, but that looks like Allred art, and it just looks very bizarre. I really love wacky, fun, crazy, bizarre stuff in comic books, and a giant eyeball head, that's about as bizarre as it gets. And I'm also David Hine. He has done some work in X-Men and Batman, I believe. And actually, some of it I might not have been a big fan of, but as a rule of thumb, I'm kind of one of those people, I'm willing to give a book that I don't know a whole lot about. I'm willing to give it a try if it looks interesting. So basically, the old adage, don't judge a book by its cover. Well, I did. I did judge a book by its cover, and that's why it was on my list, even though I knew nothing about it at all. This is also one I have not read. Several of these I have read. I'll tell you which ones I read and which ones I haven't. So that is The Bulletproof Coffin by David Hine and Shaky Kane. Now this is another one that I know very little about it. It's got the Fantastic Four and Iron Man in it. I'm more of a Fantastic Four fan than I am an Iron Man fan. I think I have one Iron Man graphic novel. But this, the creator, one of the creators is Seth Fisher, and I believe he is now dead, sadly. He died fairly young in a tragedy. I don't remember exactly what happened. But this is a somewhat older story, I think, from the early 2000s, and it looks awesome. The Fantastic Four and Iron Man fighting alien fish. I like wackiness in comic books, so this looks great. And it's another one that I haven't yet read. You may be wondering, well, it's been almost a week since Christmas. Why haven't you read any of these? Well, I've read a lot of stuff. Like I say, I'll show you all the stuff that I have read. So this is another one that I'm looking forward to. Light Brigade. This is by Peter Tomasi, who I've heard that name before. I know he has done some work, I think, for DC. I feel like he's done some Batman and Nightwing comics, but I don't, right off the top of my head, I don't remember what he has done. And this one, if you can't tell from the cover, there's an angel with a magic sword, and he's fighting in World War II. This is actually one of two books I got for Christmas. I didn't realize that both of them had such similar subject matter, but both this book and another book, they were, weird war kind of stories, like a World War II story with something fantastical added to the mix. This one is angels, the other one is something else. And I'm always a fan of that. I like the Hellboy movies a whole lot, and the first Hellboy movie does quite a bit of that. And this looks like it's trying to do that. It's actually by DC Comics, but I don't know if this is a DC superhero kind of story, or if this is something that is printed by DC Comics, but is actually its own separate world of sorts. I guess I'll find out when I get into this. XMen Longshot. This is a hardcover book, one of the only ones I got. Here's the deal. I don't like Art Adams' artwork very much. In reading some of the old X-Men comics from the 80s, I found that I really got tired of his artwork, and I really got tired of the characters from the Mojoverse. I really, really hate Mojo, and I don't like Spiral either. The only character from the Mojoverse that I like, even a little bit, is Longshot. I like that he's very childlike, and that was very refreshing, because even the younger X-Men, they just felt very jaded and cynical compared to this guy. And I liked him quite a bit. I even liked him when I was a little kid, and I didn't know anything about him, but I saw him in one of the episodes of the animated series, and I just liked him quite a bit. And this was on my list because I collect X-Men books. And even though when this first came out, it was a mini-series, and it wasn't actually an X-Men story. It was just it was kind of a science fiction story about this slave in an alternate universe where television was what ruled the world, sort of. And then later, Chris Claremont went back and made him an X-Man. So it's only called XMen Longshot because Claremont went back and said, I like this guy, I want to bring him into my world of the X-Men, sort of. So I haven't read this yet. It's still in the plastic wrap, actually. But I will read it, and I'm looking forward to it because I have a soft spot for stories in the X-Men franchise. I buy books in the X-Men that I know are bad just because they're X-Men related. And I'm not saying this is bad. I've actually read some work by Ann Nocenti that I really enjoyed, and this is written by her, but I don't know anything about this, is what I'm saying. And so I will buy books that are X-Men related just because they're X-Men related, and that's what I'm saying that I did here. Secret Wars. This is the first 12-issue miniseries. Actually, there was a sequel called Secret Wars 2. I don't remember how long Secret Wars 2 was. I don't think it was this long. I saw it today at the store, but I didn't get it. This cover is by Alex Ross. Now, Alex Ross did not actually have anything to do with this miniseries because this was in the early 1980s when this miniseries came out. And basically, if you haven't heard of it before, all of these characters and several supervillains, they are teleported to a planet far, far away, and they are told by this bodiless being that they are supposed to kill each other. Or rather, the heroes are supposed to kill the bad guys, and the bad guys the heroes. If you are a fan of Lost, you might enjoy this quite a bit. I have said before that I really hated Lost, but this is, in a lot of ways, this is kind of like what if Lost was good. I won't get very much into it because very clearly there's a whole lot here that I could talk about, and I've only actually read the first 3 issues so far. It's very dense. If you've read comics from the 80s, you know that they're very thick. Not thick, they're just as long as a comic would be now, but they're packed more with lots of stuff happening, much more than today. So it's going to take me a while to read this one, but so far, for the most part, I'm enjoying it quite a bit. And speaking of comics being dense, this would be the opposite of that. This is Ultimate Spider-Man. This is actually Volume 4. If you've watched my video on my Ultimate collection, you have seen that I prefer on like the long-running series like Ultimate X-Men and Ultimate Spider-Man, I prefer to have the Ultimate collections that have, 12 issues per volume. And I already have the first 3 for Spider-Man, but they're paperback. This is the first one, this hardcover, and it is, I don't think I've read any of the issues here. I maybe have read 1. So I am hoping that I'm going to enjoy this. I found reading the Ultimate collections for Spider-Man, for the first 2 books, I enjoyed exactly half of each volume. And then for the 3rd volume, I didn't enjoy it at all. So I'm hoping that this has the X-Men in it. I hope that I enjoy this more than I did the 3rd volume. This is, I talked about earlier that I had another World War II weird war kind of story. This is the other one. This is from a very small press company called
Ape Entertainment. So if you haven't heard of them, check them out, because this was a very high production comic book. I'm not going to spoil a whole lot going on there, but it's, you know, just as fancy as what you might expect from Marvel or DC or Image or Dark Horse. And yet I've never heard of this company, Ape Entertainment. I don't know what's going on over here, if that's another company that I haven't heard of, but the premise here is that you've got a squadron of soldiers, and there's a group of Nazis who are trying to make supermen, basically, trying to make the superior soldier. And it's stuff, you know, if you've read Captain America comics, you've seen this before, but this feels very new. It does not... I wasn't once reminded of Captain America when I was reading this. Really, it's only... The premise sounds similar, but it's very different in the way it's executed. And it's not exactly my cup of tea. I think they said it in the foreword that there's going to be 6 volumes of this story, and this is the first volume. I don't know if I'm going to get the other volumes, because this really was... it's very well done, but it's not exactly my cup of tea. It's a... You know, it's equal parts war movie, horror story, and science fiction pulp from the 30s. And of course, I like pulp stories. I like the science fiction genre. I'm not a huge fan of horror, and I'm also not a very huge fan of war stories. So, like I say, if you're into those 3 types of genres, you should definitely give this a try, because I was very impressed with how well this was done. The art is just fantastic, and it's written very well also. And I'm definitely going to keep an eye out for this company, Ape Entertainment. Batman Earth 1. Oh, you just got a sneak peek at the next one. I am not a fan of Jeff Johns. I have said this before, and I will say it again. I am not a fan of his work. However, I wanted this because it's Batman, and I am a huge Batman fan. And then I read this, and it blew me away. I was not expecting this to be that good, and it was phenomenal. I am eagerly looking forward to the next volume. I hope that they do another volume, and it may take them like 2 years to do it, but I really, really hope that they do another volume, and I'm really looking forward to it. This was one of my favorite Batman stories that I have read in a very, very long time, and if you have doubts, I may do a full-blown review of it, but honestly, there's a lot that's already been said about this in a few videos that I've already seen, so I don't know if there's a whole lot more I can say on this, but just read it. It's very interesting. I really enjoyed it quite a bit. All-Star Superman. This is actually the complete All-Star Superman. I had been waiting for a very long time. I know this series, I think, came out in 2006, and I was waiting until the whole series was collected in one volume, because I really can't stand it when you have a single story and it's collected in 2 volumes or something. You know, they did this with Batman Hush, where it's a 12-issue arc, but it's collected in 2 separate volumes. And when they do that, I always wait until it's collected in 1 volume. And this is the whole story. That's all 12 issues of this story. And I know that's actually, this volume has been out since, I think, late 2011. So I actually waited about a year without getting it. But what can I say? I've got a lot that I read and a lot of stuff that I have left to read. So I don't buy a whole lot of stuff that this was on the back burner is what I'm saying. And this is fantastic. I've been hearing people talk this up for 6 years, I guess, and it is just a really great story. And I may do a full-blown video on it, but if I did a video, there's not much more I could say beyond this is great, you should read it. I really enjoyed it, and I think anybody who has doubts about Superman would really enjoy this book. Abe Sapien, Volume 2, The Devil Does Not Jest and Other Stories. Now, Volume 1 I already had, and it was actually a single miniseries, I believe. This was actually 3 short stories, and I enjoyed this one more than I did Volume 1. I enjoyed pretty much all 3 of the stories. They weren't life-changing or anything like that, but it was fun and enjoyable. It was a very quick read. This one is one of the ones that I read on Christmas Day, and the other one being Dark Axis. And I've said before that I don't really care for the Hellboy books themselves, but the books set in that world, like Abe Sapien, Lobster Johnson, I have found that I enjoy those quite a bit more than I do Hellboy itself. And this was one that I think I put it on my list before I had made my final decision that I wasn't going to be reading Hellboy itself anymore, but I wound up enjoying this quite a bit more. So I'm glad I enjoyed this, and if you're curious, I'm not fully abandoning the world of Hellboy. I know there's a spin-off series featuring the BPRD, and I've heard that it's really good, so I may give that series a try. But as for Hellboy itself, I'm afraid I'm just not going to be reading any more of it. And that doesn't really have anything to do with what I've got for Christmas, but I thought I'd address that now. This book, Welcome to Hawksford. This story was something I think I found out about this back a long time ago. I had seen some of the gentlemen on Comic Book Club mention it, and I was curious about it. It was something that I think it's from IDW, and it's a somewhat interesting premise. And if you see the cover here, you can probably guess kind of what the premise is. But this is actually kind of a twist ending for one of the issues inside. It's a 4-issue miniseries, but unfortunately I didn't enjoy this as much as I thought I would. The idea is a great idea. The execution falls flat, I believe. That's the best I can say about this. I didn't really care for the art. What you see here is kind of what you get on the inside. It's very murky, very hard to tell what's going on a lot of times. I had trouble telling characters apart, and during a couple of action scenes, I had trouble telling what was going on. So, sadly, I really can't recommend this at all. But, you know, I like to stretch my legs a little sometimes. I like to read something that's a little bit outside of my box. You know, I don't only want to read superhero stories. Sometimes I want to read something that's a little different, see if I enjoy it. And, you know, several of the things that I've read from Christmas that were not superhero related, I did enjoy. This just happened to be one that I did not enjoy. And the final thing here is the John Byrne Incredible Hulk Visionaries. I read this yesterday, and this was pretty fun. It started off kind of slow. The first issue, I didn't really care for it, and then the whole middle of this book was really good, I thought, and then it just ended very abruptly. If you've read a lot of Hulk, you may know what happened here, but it ends extremely it just stops, and there's one very huge plot point that's just dropped, and I assume that the next writer who came after John Byrne kind of addressed that plot point. But this was not long before Peter David came onto the Hulk. This was, I think, about 30 issues before he did. He came on the Hulk, and I have not read Peter David's run because it has not yet been collected into trades. Some of it has, but the whole thing is not. And so I'm waiting until, it might be years and years, but I'm waiting until all of Peter David's series has been collected in trades. But this was very good, a very standalone kind of story, sort of. There's another video that I'm planning on updating soon, or maybe by the time you're seeing this I've already uploaded it, I don't know. But I'm going to be talking about the Hulk in that video, so see what I have to say in that video. But that's all I got, actually. I got quite a bit, really, and I'm really happy. I had a great Christmas, and I hope you guys did as well. And I look forward to seeing some more videos from me in the year 2013. This is the Comics Kid 2099, signing off.